First thing which we need to do, either we're just going to look for a text editor within this toolbox, then we drag it and drop it within this part. Now let's start to manipulate this text editor using the properties which is found on the right side of the screen. So what we need to do, right, we want this text editor to be huge, right, to accept some multi lines, like some long strings, right, the person to input. So either we just have to select here on this option, and what we select where it says multi lines, and we see it has been enabled. So we are able to drag and drop this and fill up the screen. So but then let's now deal with this part, as we want to make this other function close to the text editor which we have on our computer. So we need a user to be able to scroll down or scroll left and right or up and down within this text editor. So within this form, right, text box, go to the properties again, and then we want to enable the person to use a scroll bar. So this one is going to be both sides, that means the bottom part and the side part. So before that, now let's manipulate this box, right, to form a custom text editor at this size. Then we put this one, right, we stretch it over to this part of the screen. Okay, and then we just stretch it here. Okay, and now we continue with it. So what we need to do, right, we're going to want this text editor to be able to be scrollable, right, to be able to be adjusted by the user's input. So we're going to look for a dock, right, under the layout. So we're going to manipulate it and say centered. It will be centered. But before doing that, we need to focus on adding a menu, right? The menu we're going to show within this space, the same way this notepad is like. This Windows notepad is like. So we need to add a file, then we're going to say new, open and save, or we're just going to do anything. Yeah, so let's just close it. And then we're now going to, okay, we are looking for something called a menu strip. Then we click on it, then we drag and drop it on this part, right? As you can see, now we're going to type in a name code file. Then here we're going to say new. Then here, okay, here we're going to say open, right? Then here we're going to say save file. But in this video, we're going to focus on this function and that function. And now, as we have created our menu strip, let's go back to our text editor form so that we can check the layout. So go under properties, right, and then under layout, just go where it says layout where it says dock. Then we're going to say, okay, you should be centered, right, like this. Why is it I enable that part on? Okay, let's just click the start button and you will see how it goes. Our form is going to show up on the screen, right? Then we are able to adjust this one into any size, as you can see, any size. But then let's say okay, whenever the program, this form runs, right, it should be centered. So I'm going to select the form. Let's wait for the computer. I'm just going to select this outer form. Then I'm going to say under properties, yes, everything it should be okay this side, but I want it to be centered. So let me just look for it, if I'm able to see it. Okay, this form under properties, I want it to be centered, a position. There it is. Under layout, under start position, we are going to, okay, to select center screen, and we are done. Now want our text editor to be functional, right? But we cannot use this this name called form1. We need to use something custom. So we're going to go under, find where it says text, not this one, where it says text, right? so that we can change the title of our form. If you are seeing it, can you help me find it out? Okay, this one is found under appearances. Now we're going to say okay, text or we can just call it text editor what app, or we can not just let's just say app to be different. As you can see, it have automatically written. Now in this part of the video, right now we are going to be adding functions to these things, this open and save file, right, so that we'll be able to open some text information and to be presented here, or we're able to save information. So let's deal with the open function. So on the open function, right, on the open menu, what we need to do, we can either double click it, or first of all what we need to do is we need to look for what we call an open dialog. There it is. You can just double click on it, then it have appeared here. Then we'll go so that we're able to use those functions, right? Because if we don't enable that, it will show errors. So I'm going to show you under the save part. So now we double click on this menu strip. So now either you have an understanding of files written under or not. I have checked this kind of website online that deals with file, and I've studied a bit, so I hope it will be helpful for you. What we need to do, right, we are dealing with this called open dialog, right? So we need to say open file, okay, my file dialog 1, right, because that's the name of our dialog. Then I press the tab button. Then I'm going to say dot show dialog. I need the dialog to be shown on the screen. Then I put this one. This feature will enable us for if I run this application or this form, right, whenever I click the open function, it will open our Windows Explorer like this, right? So we have done it. So let's continue. Our program may have not yet ended, right? So now we're going to do this. So we're now going to use the information which we know under file handling. If you don't know, you can check my other videos on file handling. So we're going to say okay, dim, let's create a variable called file, right? And we're going to say a new what system IO, because if you know file handling, right, under VB, you will know that we are going to be using this system IO, and you know what this all mean. Stream reader, right, so that you will be able to read information from a file. Then you click a tab, and then we're going to open a bracket and close the bracket, and information we are going to put here, right? So what the program is, right, so it will call up this function called stream reader, which is found under file streams. Then within the bracket is the activity which is going to happen, right? These commands, right, these commands, so that it will be able to access the information from a certain file, right? So since we do not know the name of a file, we are just going to say file name. So we're going to say okay, open a file dialog, right? Then under open file dialog 1, we need to access a file name which is available, which is chosen by the user, right? Then on the next line of code, right, we're going to say okay, we've opened it, right? What do we need it to be done? So we need okay, our text box, right, which you've just created, our text box 1. That's this is called a text box 1. Even under properties, you can see this one is called a text box 1 under the design name. Okay, so that you know we are dealing with something real. So text box 1, right, dot tx, right, so that we are dealing with the text data. What you need store, can you read the information which have been opened by our user and store it copy and paste it within our text box. Okay, how can I do it? So we're going to say file dot read everything to an end. So we are not going to use a loop. We are saying read from the start to the end of all the characters which is available in the text. So after doing this, what do you do, right? You have opened the contents of a friend's book, right, maybe an assignment. This after copying everything, what do? You close that book and return it to the user, right, to the owner or a friend or whoever you are copying assignments from. So you're going to say okay, file the file or the book which you've just received, we are going to close the book just like, and press tab. As you can see, we have finished the first part of our program. Now we want to see if it will really function. So we're going to click where it says start debugging, and please make it work because I'll be embarrassed. Then it have shown within the center of the screen, and you are able to adjust everything. So now we're going to say file, click open. Then we're going to look for a text file within our computer, right under the document or any other locations within a computer. Then I just want to select this one, this code required skills, which I've just researched before. As you can see, it have opened, and this function really works, right? As you can see, it really works. So let's try to adjust, see, and you see everything works smoothly. Then let's just put it, you fill the whole screen. It will work just like in text editor, right? Just like that. So unless this one will be different because it have a it does not have a custom icon. So let's just close it and go back to our Visual Studio, Microsoft Visual Studio. Now we are going to deal with the save dialog. So let's start. Okay, this one, right? Then under the toolbox, right, look for what say right in dialog, right? Then we have to click here where it says save dialog. Then we double click it. As soon as we double click it, it will just magically appear on this part of the screen. So but can I try to delete it? I can delete it, right? So that I can, as I promised earlier, that I'm just going to show you if we do not use that dialog, every function which we're going to be using here, it won't work. So now under the file, let's double click where it says save. So as you can see, it have written this long string of the text, and so now we are going to want to program under this console that we will be able to save the file which we have just written, or yeah. Okay, so now what you need to do, right? So we're going to, the same way as we said open file dialog, now we're going to say save file dialog, just like this. Then it's called, we're dealing with dialog 1 because that's the one which you created. Then we're going to dot show. We need to show the dialog, right? So that it will open the Windows File Explorer. Then you say okay, dialog. I hope that's the spelling of dialog. Then we put these quotes, right? Yeah. Then on the next line, we can either create a different variable or use the same one. But let me just use the same one, or let me say okay, dim. Okay, save. Okay, save file. That's the name of my what? Okay, that's the name of my variable. Then we are going to say as a new system. So we're accessing this everything which is contained with we want to access something within the system.io, right? Just like that. Then you click tab so that it can auto complete. Then we're going to say okay, dot. Now we're not even reading, right? We are writing. Why are we writing? Yes, we have written text within the text box, right? But when you save under file handling, when you click save, the computer is writing to that, right? Yes, it's writing because yes, you have written, but it's now you are giving the computer a chance to write into a file. So we are going to say okay, a writer, stream writer. Then we're going to open some quotes here. Then the same thing which we did, we said open, but now we're not opening anything. We are just saving the file which you have been written within our text editor. So we're going to say save, right, a file dialog 1 which we are dealing with 1. Then so dot, we are going to save it where the same thing which you said here, we are going to save into a custom made file which the user wants. We are just going to rename anything, so we're not going to give a name, right? You're just going to say file name. Whatever the user is going to enter here is what's going to be saved. Now after that, right, we are going to say okay, file, right, dot write, right, dot write the information from the text, from the what, okay, so sorry, write while taking the information from the text box 1 which is shown on the screen. dot text, right? Okay, let me just go to the next one. Then after doing that, it have captured the content within the what, the text box, and is going to write it into our file. But then after that, what's going to happen after that? The thing which is going to happen is going, all right, we are now going to close the file. We do not need to let the file continue running because we are no more long using it, right? So we're going to say, okay, file dot close. Now let's run our program. Let's click this start debugging, and voila, there were build errors. Would you like to continue and run the last? No, I want to see the error. As you can see, file dialog 1 is not declared, save file dialog whatever is not declared. Why? Because we did not input this what, save file dialog. So we just have to double click it and go back, and the errors will be cleared. So let's start to, as you can see, there are some errors which still exist. Why? Because the file is not declared. Where? Let's look at it. We enter line number 15. Okay, so my bad. So I should have used the same what, the same variable name which I've used. So that's an error which should not be done when you are in exam. So I'm going to say, okay, save file, that's the name of the file. Say, okay, save file dot close, and then we are just going to start debugging and see if there are any errors. So now our Windows form is going to show up within this side, and let's deal with it, right? As you can see, everything is showing right now. Okay, let me just do this. I'm just going to write something. Okay, hey there, so you have learned about how to create a text editor, right, using vb.net. So do not forget to subscribe. Okay, subscribe if this was useful for you or to you. As a what, token, is it the spelling of token of never mind my spelling, guys, it's just for the tutorial purpose. Then okay, as a token of appreciation. So I want you to be able to view this as we make changes. So under documents, right, I'm just going to create a separate folder so that you see it active, so that you won't say, oh, it's been forged, it have been whatever. Let me just say blah blah blah, just like this, right? And then I'm just going to open this, then I'm going to copy this address, okay, just in case. And then I'm just want to save a file in our folder. Click by the save button. As you can see, it have successfully opened our dialog. Then we open this. Now we want to give a file name. As you can see, within our Visual Basic, right, we are saying file name, so that's where we're going to import everything, right? So I'm just going to say, okay, learn with me, right? Then I'm just going to click save, and wait a minute. As you can see, we have successfully created our file, our text editor, which creates a file. But this is the trick. If we double click on this one, it will say find an application to view this, and that's so bad because we did not create an extension, right? So what we need to do, right, we are going to say, okay, click here, click on file, then you click on save, and then after, right, let's say after writing a folder called you are awesome, right, for watching, that's so huge, for watching. Then we're going to, there is no save as type because we've not programmed it, right? So we're going to say, okay, save this one as a .txt text file, and if you click this, you will see it happen on the other side of the screen. As you can, you are awesome for watching. Then you double click and it will open with a different text editor, because this notepad have been the default one. As you can see, every content which is written in our text editor is shown here, every format. So but now let's try to open, let's try to to clear everything, right? Let's say we just cleared here. Let's try to open an existing file. We just say click open, then we're going to say you are awesome and you want to view the content of that page. As you can see, it will just exactly view everything which you have saved. So guys, this is how you create a text editor app using Visual Basic.net. So I think in the near future, I'm just going to show you how we will be able to create a custom page, to create a custom icon, and time enables allows me. I'm just going to show you how we can create this whole text editor app into an executable program that you can copy from this computer to another computer and install it. Right, so thank you for watching. See you in the next video, whatever. So I hope you have a good day.